Hang on, we're up. We're up. Halfway through our showtime, but we are up. Well, that was a bother. Let me do some. So much technical stuff here. All right. Here we go. Here we go. Let me get the Amazon stuff up again. We can look at a few for about 10 minutes, maybe a little longer. All I have to do is stop by the post office on the way to work. But ooh, I'm hoping it won't be slippery. We had rain yesterday and now it's below freezing. I'm hoping it dried enough. All right. Well, that was a weird. Hello. Welcome, welcome back to Bookeemonsters. It is Wednesday, November the 13th. We're going to look at some romances. We had some technical connectivity problems. I had internet, so it looked like it was on the StreamYard side, the program that lets us have a show. All right, first up, today's romance. Quick announcements. I don't have any sprints tonight. We will have them tomorrow night. Queen's Game by Catherine McGee. We'll do I won't read the whole paragraphs, perhaps. In the last glittering decade of European empires, courts, and kings, three young women are on a collision course with history and with each other. Alex of Hesse is Queen Victoria's favorite granddaughter, so she can expect to end up with a prince, except that the prince she's falling for is not the one she's supposed to marry. Helene d'Orléans, daughter of the exiled King of France, doesn't mind being a former princess. It gives her more opportunity to break the rules, like running around with the handsome, charming, and very much off-limits heir to the British throne, Prince Eddie. Then there's May of Teck. After spending her entire life on the fringes of the royal world, May is determined to marry a prince, and not just any prince, but the future king. I would take it more seriously if it wasn't such a hot pink cover, because those were real people. I just didn't give up. Be careful. Yeah. I don't mind driving on snow because there's traction on snow. It's when there's ice or ruts. I hate. Prep for show is progressing, but not very quickly. Don't like beating under pressure, or for that matter, doing anything else under pressure anymore. Those days are done. Indeed. Well, this is a nice way to clean out all the stock. Bring everything. Like Cats and Dogs by Lizzie Shane, 6 in the Pine Hollow series. Magda Miller's feud with rival baker Mackenzie Newton is so old, folks in tiny Pine Hollow, Vermont forgot how it started. But Magda remembers. 10 years ago, she offered Mac her heart. Instead, he ran off with her grandmother's maple cake recipe. Now Mac traipses all over Magda's baking territory, just like his oversized tabby keeps sneaking into her house to claim her dog's favorite bed. So when Magda gets the call to compete on the Great American Cake Off, she's thrilled to finally shine in a Mac-free zone. But when she arrives on set, her devilishly handsome nemesis is already there. Of course. And then they fall in love. Love and Bloom by Lucy Eden. It took exactly 24 hours for Atlanta publicist Emma Walters' life to go from near perfect to a monumental disaster. One day to break up with her boyfriend, get fired, and inherit a farm. All that's left is for her to take the still smoking remains of her dignity and flee to her new farm in Green Acres, Georgia. However, Emma's new country life is anything but peaceful. The quirky locals seem to be inexplicably dislike her. Well, she's got an attitude. And farming proves way messier than she expected. Adding to her frustration is Dan Pednecker, the farm's infuriating, handsome manager who doubts her ability to handle even the simplest tasks. which is probably not a surprise. Emma soon discovers that the farm isn't exactly what it seems. It doesn't sell anything, making her wonder if it's just a glorified petting zoo, or if Dan is hiding something much bigger. With suspiciously named shops like 4 and 20 Blackbirds lining Main Street, it's clear that the whole town might be in on a secret. This next one, we've got hockey romances, Formula One romances. Now we've got pickleballers. And I didn't care enough to look up how that name came about. I've heard of it, of course, but this is by Alana Long. Meg Bloomberg is in a pickle. When Meg's ex turned out to be a total playa, she and her bestie take off for a mood-lifting pickleball excursion to Bainbridge Island. It's supposed to be an easy lob, a way to heal, not the opening serve to a new courtside romance that's doomed to spin out. Can we put it anymore? No matter how Meg tries, she can't shake her feelings for Ethan Fine, a charismatic environmental consultant and Bainbridge local. Ethan seems like the real Bill. But when Meg discovers that Ethan is sabotaging her home court, she decides the match is over. It's time for Meg to take control of her own game, and maybe, just maybe, a love will bounce back. End of row 1. Speaking of hockey, now this one, they were pushing it. I'm sorry. Puck and Prejudice. A spicy time travel hockey romance by Leah Riley. It's a truth universally acknowledged that a modern single man in possession of a hockey jersey may be exactly what a Regency woman needs to avoid the shackles of marriage. Goalie for the Austin Regals, Tucker Taylor, is benched due to health issues, so when he decides to visit his sister in England, but an accidental plunge into an icy pond thrusts him back to 1812. Happens all the time, I get it, where he comes face to face with a captivating blue-eyed woman who regards him as if he's grown 2 heads. Lizzie Wooddash dreams of a life surrounded by books, engaging conversation, and the presence of literary icons like Jane Austen and, I'm sorry, in 1812, nobody knew she was Jane Austen. Nary a husband in sight, but in Regency England, only widows like her cousin Georgie enjoy freedom and solitary pursuits, unencumbered by expectations. The only way to quickly become a widow is by marrying a dying man or killing a perfectly healthy one, neither of which Lizzie desires, etc., etc. Oh no, not pickleball. The Co-op by Tara DeWitt. Laren Levine and Deacon Leeds had one short and contentious summer fling when they were teens. Certainly nothing to build a foundation on, but a decade later, when their grandmothers have left them with shared ownership of their dilapidated Santa Cruz building, they're thrust back together and have to figure out how to brace up the pieces. Laren has the money, but in order to access her trust, she has to be married. Deacon has the construction expertise, but lacks the funds. A deal is struck: marry for however long it takes to fix up the property, collect a profit, and cut ties. Thrust into a home without walls, Laren and Deacon quickly learn that it's easy to hide behind emotional ones, even in a marriage. But with all the exposure and pitfalls that come with living with the opposite sex, and none of the perks, much to their growing mutual frustration, they'll also have to learn what it means to truly cooperate as a team. I do like that cover for some reason. Time and Tide by J.M. Frey. When Sam's plane crashes catastrophically over the Atlantic, does a plane crash into the Atlantic not be catastrophic? It defies all odds for Sam to be the sole survivor, but it seems impossible that she's rescued by a warship in 1805. With a dashing sea captain as her guide, water. Water is time travel, apparently, today. She begins to find her footing in a world she's only seen in movies. Sam is betrayed. At the mercy of the men and morals of the time and without the means to survive on her own, she's left with no choice but to throw herself on the charity of the captain's sisters. She resigns herself to a quiet life of forever hiding her true self. What she doesn't expect is that her new landlady is Margaret Goodenough. The world-famous author, whose yet-to-be completed novel will contain the first lesbian kiss in the history of British literature, and a clever woman, clever enough to know her new companion has a secret. As the two women grow ever closer, Sam must tread the tenuous line between finding her own happiness in a place where she doesn't think she'll ever fit in and possibly accidentally changing the course of history. I think I missed the Christmas rom-coms. I didn't think I'd say that. Rogue's Christmas. Oh, Mary, Pretty Dress. Pretty Dress Alert by Elizabeth Essex, 6th in the Highland Brides. The moment she saw him, Flora Conway knew that Jack Balfour was the Scotsman for her, tall and dark, witty and charming, plus the accent. He's a rogue who sets her senses aflame like no other man, and he's recently been elevated to the peerage as the Earl of Kinloch. There's only one problem. He's destitute. Captain Jack Balfour has been called home from the Royal Navy only to find his inheritance is nothing but a moldering castle and a mounting pile of debt. Every penny he's made from his naval prizes is instantly consumed by the earldom's outstanding obligations. He has no choice but to shelve his dreams of marriage to the divine Miss Flora Conway and go back to sea to try and earn another fortune as large as his first to keep himself from drowning in Kinloch's debt. But Flora is the sort of lass who won't take no for an answer. Her outrageous proposal might just be the most roguish of them all. He has a shirt on, but it's quite unbuttoned. End of row 2. The alarm has set, but we're going to keep going for a couple more minutes. April Storm by Layla Meacham. Romance has descended into great triteness, in my opinion, both in titles and in plots. Absolutely. Yes, finally a cover to covet. Good old-fashioned. Again, April Storm by Layla Meacham. Catherine Walker enjoys an enviable life. Her husband is an accomplished doctor. Her children are bright and successful, and she devotes herself to charity work that uplifts her suburban Colorado community. Settling into a new year, her life couldn't be better until April. For Catherine, April has always rained trouble, but this time may be even stormier than the fraught past she's trying to overcome. Already distraught over the child she miscarried in this same cursed month many years ago, the emotionally fragile woman isn't ready to consider the overwhelming evidence that someone may be trying to take her husband and her life. Hardly Strangers, with a really crappy cover, by A.C. Robinson. This is the night Cher has been waiting for. She's at a trendy Silver Lake bar to finally get a drink with the handsome, charming filmmaker she's been pining after for months. But when Max King, the alluring and mischievous frontman of an Irish punk band, enters the picture, an electric attraction ignites between them. Cher's evening begins to unfold in ways she never imagined, and she surprises herself by getting swept up in his energy and daring to feel again after past heartbreak. But how does she know their passionate encounter won't expire in the morning? And if she's ready to shed some of her earned armor for this disarming stranger? And they do this in only 160 pages. It's a fast romance. Imperfectly Perfect by Tracy Goodwin. Wedding planner Cassandra Benedict sells happily ever afters for a living, but when Cassie gets stood up at her own wedding, the whole humiliating experience is witnessed by the creme de la creme of New York's elite. Cassie comes from a wealthy family, but she's built her business through hard work, and now she feels like a fool. She's walking down the road in her ruined dress, carrying her beagle decked out in his bridesman tutu, when who should offer her a ride but her ex-college boyfriend, Andrew Steele. Just great. Andrew's journey has been very different. Coming from nothing, Andrew grew up watching the haves duke it out in the Hamptons, so he learned and evolved. Now he's New York's hottest celebrity, billionaire, and darling of the paparazzi, which Cassie despises. But Andrew proposes a mutually beneficial fake relationship that could save her pride and her business. Their sizzling chemistry notwithstanding, bad boy Andrew Steele definitely has the game to pull it off. But is he savvy enough not to fall in love? No, this will be the first time he fails, but he'll have love. Open-minded, like we are, by Chloe Seeger. Didn't spend much on the artist for that cover. No. After 9 years of dating, Holly is sure her boyfriend, Will, is going to propose, but instead of popping the question, he shocks her by suggesting they open their relationship to date other people. For the last 3 years, Fliss and her boyfriend, Ash, have been in a happily open relationship, but now that they're turning 30, he wants to close it, throwing Fliss's whole ethos of life living living life on her terms rather than society's expectations into question. When Fliss overhears Holly crying in the toilets during her first date in 9 years, they decide to ditch their dates and have dinner together. They strike up an instant friendship, with Fliss agreeing to teach Holly everything she knows about being in an open relationship, while Holly, who's been with one person for almost a decade, can help Fliss try monogamy. Fliss is willing to give up dating other people if it means staying with Ash, and Holly is willing to try anything if it means she gets her happy ending with Will. But perhaps both Fliss and Holly will learn there's no one size fits all when it comes to relationships. You know what? Leave them. End of that row. Let's start dating other people. Yeah, bye. The Forgotten One by Catherine Bybee. Second in the Heirs series. Sarah McNeely is a rare find in the tabloid industry. She won't ignite gossip. She finds the truth, and for once, that's what her boss wants. With her job on the line, Sarah's latest assignment is to identify the elusive Maximilian Smith, unearth his connection to the billionaire Stone family, and dig up some dirt. Yesterday, Max was an ordinary working man concerned with little more than the price of gas. Now he suddenly has a family, jaw-dropping wealth, and an avid, if clumsy, reporter on his trail. With the press threatening to destroy his new life, he needs to release his real story strategically, and Sarah is the key, not to mention adorable yet invaluable resource for finding his mother. As Max and Sarah team up to peel back the ugly layers of Max's past, they stumble heart first into their fiery attraction. But when their research threatens their newly built trust, it's their future that is on the line. I got to get going to work here. So we'll try to do those other two on Friday. Thank you guys for sticking out. If you stuck out like Mary, thank you, thank you, thank you. Hope you have a good Wednesday, free of technical difficulties and so forth. I do my best. Thank you, Mary. Again, I don't have any sprints tonight. We'll have them tomorrow night. And tomorrow's morning show is sci-fi fantasy. Have a good day. Thank you guys. You're in my heart. And as the banner says here, don't be a bookworm, be a bookie monster. Nom nom nom. Have a good day and God bless.